Hi there. Now we're going to do lesson 291. This is a day of stillness and of peace. Christ's vision looks through me today. His sight shows me all things forgiven and at peace, and offers this same vision to the world. Isn't that beautiful? That Christ gives me the ability to see the world already forgiven. When I see through the eyes of Christ, the world that I see is so different than the world that we perceive through the eyes of our ego. And I accept this vision in its name, both for myself and for the world as well. What loveliness we look upon today. What holiness we see surrounding us. And it is given us to recognize it is a holiness in which we share. It is the holiness of God Himself. Every one of us has access to seeing through the eyes of Christ. That is how we see the way God sees the world. God's holiness, the loveliness, the wholeness of all that God has created is available to us if we choose to see only through that perspective, only through that truth. It's not even a perspective. It feels like a perspective, like we're shifting from the ego's way of looking at the world to God's way of looking at the world, and we're shifting perspective. But at the end of the day, what we're really doing is we're releasing our will to see differently than God sees. And when we accept ourselves to be able to see as God sees, everything changes. Like it says in here, what holiness we see surrounding us when we drop our will to see against God. Here's the prayer, paragraph 2. This day my mind is quiet to receive the thoughts you offer me. And I accept what comes from you instead of from myself. I do not know the way to you, but you are wholly certain. Father, guide your Son along the quiet path that leads to you. Let my forgiveness be complete, and let the memory of you return to me. We need to allow ourselves to forgive ourselves for seeing with the eyes of the ego, for putting a veil in front of our eyes, for putting a set of beliefs that block us from the awareness of the presence of God's holiness everywhere. This is just so beautiful. God is certain of our greatness, of our holiness, of our magnificence. All we need to do is let God guide us down that path. Course in Miracles is filled with lessons and with teachings, with information that allows our mind to begin to be open to what God might be like, so that in that awareness of what God might be like, by reading these beautiful things about God, we let ourselves say, okay, I want to feel that now. God, guide me to that place where I can feel the certainty of you, so that I can be as certain of you as you are of me. Isn't this beautiful? But this day needs to be one of stillness and peace. I've got to be at peace with what I have done. And in that being at peace with what I have done, which means I accept it, it is done. Now I can forgive myself for having totally and completely created an entire distortion of God's holiness. And it's that distortion that we're all tired of now. Thanks a bunch, and I'll see you in the next lesson.